Welcome to the little intro section we have at the beginning of every one of these Hatecasts. Now, before this Hatecast begins, I have a little announcement to make. I just wanted to give a quick shout out to Yules and his band Impact 36. They do the intro song for us. We hope to be working with them again in the future, but for now, their goals are a little bit higher than the Hatecast. They have an album coming out, and they also have a music video that has just dropped. So, if you're a fan of metal in any shape or form, you should go ahead and check them out. I'll go ahead and have that linked in the description box below. Now, with that being said, guys, we have this week a merch sale. Chaos and Pain Punisher tank tops, Chaos and Pain Punisher shirts, and of course, Chaos and Pain customizable hats. So, with this merch spotlight, we have a 30% off code, which I will go ahead and make in a little picture. I'll add it in the comment section below. As always, if you would like to be informed about the newest sales before the Hatecast goes up, you guys really need to subscribe to our newsletter over at www.chaosandpain.com/subscribe. Now, that being said, in this Hatecast, all we have for you guys, because it's been requested again, is a little casual fun Sunday fun day, right? So we have no particular topic, but we do get into some of the old school lifters. We get into training in general, and we get into we actually cover Bacchus. We do not have an ETA on that yet, but it is coming. We go over Bacchus. We go over knee wraps and knee sleeves and all the other crap you guys probably want to hear. I mean, it was a fantastic podcast, so I think we're really hitting a stride. But with that being said, guys, enjoy the show. Welcome back to the newest Hatecast, and this time, man, I fucked up that intro. How the fuck are you doing? I've got squat brain right now.
That's all right.
So,
shit happens. Jamie Lewis in the house.
Jamie Lewis in the house, yes.
His ass.
We've had a request to do another one of these casual Fridays, so if you guys don't mind, it's just going to be Jamie and I just going off the cusp here. Now, that doesn't mean that we don't have things we'd like to talk about. Speaking of which, you said you had a person in mind you wanted to speak about. Is that the individual you just wrote about?
No. Well, I mean, that is a fun topic to discuss, but I wanted to get your take on, there's a guy on Generation Iron who's got...
Oh, fuck.
I think he's called the Beast. He's got tattoos all over his face. Jens Dalsgaard.
Let me look him up, but you go ahead and, I mean...
Dude is literally weak as a fucking kitten. He is just filled to the gills with synthol. Well, except he doesn't pin his calves, apparently. Like, he's just, like, weirdly lumpy all over his upper body because of, like, site injections and fucking synthol, and it's just all mushed underneath his skin and looks like shit. His calves are hilariously small, but the funniest thing is how fucking weak he is. And he calls himself the Beast, and like he's got all these stupid ass slogans on his shirts and shit that you'd think that he was like halfway vaguely strong, at least like could curl something useful. And I mean, there's a fucking video of him curling like 50 pounds on a fucking cambered bar, maybe.
Okay.
Like, just weak sauce. And it's like, motherfucker, if you're going to, like, claim to be a beast and you're going to jack all the synthol, at least fucking be strong about it. God damn.
Well, you know, something that I've noticed, like, after... Now, I've spoken to a bunch of pros that use a lot of, like, aromatizing compounds and stuff like that. Sometimes they're filled up to the gills with anti estrogens that they can't really do range of motion with full range of motion on like a curl or something like that, or they have to use lower weight because their joints just are screaming. So they have no estrogen. So that may be what's going on with him.
Well, this guy isn't a competitive bodybuilder. He's just like some fucktard on the internet.
Yeah, but he's a fitness personality, man. Don't you know they take about the same amount of gear now?
These people are fucking disgraceful. I've started. I hesitate to block people. I don't like blocking people. I feel like it's a personal failing if I have to block somebody, but occasionally I have to do it just because fucking channers like make me homicidal and I don't need to go to prison. And but like these kids who are under the age of 25 who are telling me that this one kid fucking is telling me that he asked me last week right after the podcast, how do you train chicks? And I was like, what the fuck are you talking about? Like, number one, you shouldn't be training anybody. And number two, what do you mean, how do you train chicks? Like, you just train them. And he was like, well, they are 70% weaker than men. And I was like, motherfucker, my girlfriend benches what you bench, and she's only been lifting 6 months. Like, what in the fuck are you talking about? And he was like, no, she doesn't. And I was like, yeah, she does at the end of a workout, not at the beginning. Like,
you know what's fucking cool about females when it comes to training specifically? They can recover from higher volume than men can. There's the little secret there for you.
Yeah, and not only can they recover from higher volume, but like they have more to prove. So they break their fucking ass. And this kid is, number one, nobody who has, like, there are way too many coaches out there. And there are way too many people who think they should be coaching when they shouldn't. Just because you know a bunch of fucking jargon doesn't make you a coach. It makes you a pseudo-intellectual. I've had it up to my fucking neck with these people running around like blathering pseudoscientific jargon and then thinking that they can be a coach. I don't give a fuck if you read Mel Siff. Number one, you didn't understand it. And number two, if you can't prove it, like in the gym or on the platform or somewhere, then you have no fucking business coaching.
You know what fucking kills me is these guys who like come to the gym, they either are injured or something like that, and they say the specific muscle that hurts. It's like, ow, my brachialis hurts today. What the fuck?
My sartorius hurts.
Yeah.
My sternocleidomastoid hurts. It's craziness. They read
that word somewhere. They wanted to use it.
That's exactly what it is. And so I've got a couple of kids who are like demanding my attention. So I just put them on ignore. That's my thing now. I just put people on ignore because it's honestly given me like facial tics because I hate them so much. And then they'll whine and be like, I don't understand why you hate me. It's not a matter of just simple hatred. It's a matter of it would take several people to restrain me from beating these people into mush. Not just beating them down, into like pounding them like the elevator scene in Drive where he just stomps that fucking guy's head and like just stomping through his head. That's what I would be doing to these people, but their chests.
Yeah, so basically what you're saying is it's not me, or it's not you, it's me, and how much I hate you.
Yeah, and it makes me dangerously angry to deal with them. And so I like if somebody's under the age of 25, they probably shouldn't ever message me because I can't handle it.
Man, I've been there.
Stupid, they're lazy, they're pompous as shit.
You know, I frequent anabolic mines, man, and it's full
I can't do that
over there. Hey, you know what?
I'm glad Wayne's got you on that because I can't do it.
It's a great community, but every once in a while I have something that just annoys the shit out of me. Just like I was, somebody had mentioned, somebody had up on the training forum, somebody had went ahead and posted up like training frequency. He had a question about what's the scientific consensus, right? Because everybody wants. Hold on, just calm down. I can hear the facial tics. I can hear them. So what's the consensus?
Settle down on the ephedrine, I think.
And I said, of course, I linked our podcast and the one that we went in detail over our thoughts on a blanket recommendation on frequency, because we did do a blanket recommendation on frequency, but with the caveat, you adjust as needed. I mean, it's everybody is different in the way that they can recover from certain volumes and all this shit. But generally, people can recover from 2 to 3 times a week frequency per body part. Anywhere from I think 2 to fucking 5 days in the gym, I think is not unrealistic. And then certain muscle groups can be hit more than that. 4 to 8 sets per body part. Like, you're gonna have some overlap. If you train shoulders, like, your triceps are gonna get hit. Like, everything will be fine if you just follow those guidelines and just adjust up a little bit or adjust down depending on how well you end up recovering from the work volume. And that's another thing too, is people are afraid to eat to
Yep.
support the work they're doing too. It's like they're so mystified. Like, it's like every fucking fad diet that's come out that's like supposed to keep you not fat while you're bulking. It's like, well, you're gonna gain some body fat. Like, gaining fat is a very anabolic process. There's a reason that guys who not to get into the drug thing again, but that's kind of the bodybuilding world. They use insulin. They use insulin because it's storage hormone. So a lot of guys end up getting very muscular and very fat on insulin, right? Well, they do that with a lot of food too. If you are building a significant amount of muscle, you're going to be putting on a little bit of body fat. But body fat's so easy to lose. Guys are just so fucking paralyzed by. They're paralyzed by even the thought of gaining a little bit of body fat. And it's like, goddamn, calm your tits. You're like a $130.
What's funny so I've had a realization recently. Well, at least I think I have.
Yeah.
That the reason why a lot of powerlifting programs build in like every fifth week is a deload week.
Yeah.
I think I've actually come to the realization that force feeding yourself and like breaking yourself in the gym 6 days a week, for me, like especially the force feeding, I'm so full and so sore all the fucking time that at about 4 weeks my brain just goes, I can't, no, don't even, please, like, I'm begging you, don't eat. Like, just don't eat. Yeah. And so I'll just lay on the couch and I'll stare at the TV, and then 6 hours goes by, I'm still not hungry, and I'm like, I really should eat. I should eat something. And then I'll have like a turkey hoagie, and then I'll sit on the couch, and it's like, that's all I ate. And I'll do that for like a week and a half. And like, I just can't, like, because my body's just exhausted. And, but it's really more my brain, I think, especially with the heat in the summer. Like, my brain just shuts down. And so, yeah, I think that might be why they do it. But I think that the mental aspect of it is just as, it's much more than a physical aspect in terms of bulking. It's a mental game, because you really, I mean, the more you eat, the more you lift, and the more you lift, the more you grow. That's just how it works. The guy who did the banner for my blog, he's been like, I just kept telling him, I was like, dude, stop sending me pictures of your lower back fat and eat your face off. Like, you're too weak. You're too weak. So you got to get stronger. You get stronger, you'll get bigger. Now he is literally hitting a PR every single time he goes in the gym. He's put an inch on his arms in the last like 2 months. And he's just like, I'm growing like a weed. I don't even know what's happening. Like, I have to keep buying new clothes. I might have to stop bulking just because I can't afford all the clothes. And I was like, it's a great problem to have, man. Thrift shops, I guess. But he lives down in Puerto Rico, so like, it's there. It's rough down there.
So I mean, I will agree with you there. The mental game is something that people don't really concentrate on, because everybody's so concentrating on the physical adaptations that happen. Like, let's be clear though. First of all, if you're a natural guy, building muscle is slow as molasses, especially if you've been, lifting for 5+ years. And that's fine. Like, that's to put on 10 pounds of quality muscle. You will thank yourself later. That's going to make your physique look so much fucking better, even if it takes you a year to do that. But the issue is this, I want it now whole philosophy, and fat loss you can kind of get now. Like, I've been bigger before. I know people, like, I've gotten comments about people saying, oh, well, you're not bigger now, so you don't have the right to comment on bigger people. It's like, well, go fuck yourself, first of all. I used to wear a size 46 pants. Go fuck yourself. Now I'm down to a 32. When it comes down to it, like, fat loss is much easier than muscle, than building quality, hard, grainy muscle. And I don't think people are just, I don't think they're willing to put in the time, too.
Yeah, I'll give you that. And one aspect I forgot to put in, I was actually looking at my shoulder when I was started speaking, is, like, after that week, any fat that I put on, I lose because all my shoulder vascularity comes back. So I'll train shoulders, and it's just like rivers of vascularity on my shoulders. And even like, I'll look a little deflated for the first like 3 days in the gym. By the fourth day, like, because I've been force feeding myself and training hard again, I'm all puffed up again. So then I'm waddling around the gym. So it's, I'm taking 3 steps forward, 1 step back, like every month, but it's still like I'm still making great progress. And it's, like yesterday, you were asking what I did. I did an hour of cloak-off presses and then an hour of military press. And I think my best ever cloak-off press was 255, and I hit a couple of singles with 245 yesterday. And I'm talking about 255 was when I was doing cloak-off presses 3 times a week, and basically was doing nothing other than shoulders. And then I turned around and hit like a 260 military press after maxing on cloak-off press, and I think my best ever military press was 275. So like that was a crazy fucking workout, and it was literally after 2 days of force feeding, and there you go. And I hadn't trained in 5 days. So
that's another thing I think people are afraid of. People are afraid of, and we're kind of stoking the fire there too. It's like people are afraid to, especially when you feel those mental days, backing off on the amount of work you do. Like intuitive deloads, whatever you want to fucking call it, like where you just reduce your amount of work volume. It may seem like a step back at the time, but you'll feel so much better. Like, there are people, there's been bodybuilders in the past that have been very famous, and they've taken, a week off a year, 2 weeks off a year, like, just no lifting, just sitting on the couch. You know what they have Big Ramy doing, right?
No.
They have him basically go train, and then they have him, because, he's over there with Bader Budai. Yeah. They have him fucking laying down in bed, watching TV, and taking naps. Like, the entire... Like, so his day consists of wake up, eat, go to the gym, like, fucking take naps, and fucking watch TV all day. That's what he does.
I'm relatively certain that prince or whatever, that sultan or whatever the fuck he is, probably has a nice cam on that bed, and it's probably like, go ahead and lay there naked.
For as well as they're being taken care of, cam shows are welcome. Like, it's a bodybuilder lifestyle, buddy.
That's not me talking shit. I will sit there and jerk off on cam for some random sultan all day long if I don't have to work and I'm just laying in bed fucking watching porn. I'm going to jerk off anyway, so why not get filmed?
All business inquiries can go to sales@chaosandpain.com. But yeah, it's when it comes down to it, it's like they live a very different lifestyle, and like maximum results wise, every once in a while I do feel that it's healthy for people to kind of pull back on the volume. Just like I do. I pull back on the volume every once in a while, and then I add it back in. Just because, I feel beat up sometimes, and that's perfectly fine. Like, you're not going to lose a significant amount of strength by reducing your volume for a week. You're not going to lose any at all. It's fucking dumb.
See, I take a different tack. Instead of reducing volume, I was telling you the other day, I did not feel like training, and I went and did back, and instead of doing, like, I brought my straps, I was all chalked up, I was ready to go, and then I was just like, fuck that. Like, I'm not shrugging, I'm not doing any of the shit I usually do. No high pulls, no pendlay rows. And I did an hour of cable rows. Like, I did every fucking implement they had. the straight bar, cambered bar, handles, like the free floating handles. I did them low, I did them high, I did them high rep, I did them low rep. I mean, I was all over the place. And I am so fucking sore today. But it's not like I don't have the level of exhaustion that I would have from doing the crazy heavy compound movements I was doing. But I know that I got growth out of it, and I know that my weights aren't going to backslide at all from that. So, and even if they do, who fucking cares? Like, some days you have good days, some days you have bad days. Nobody makes steady. That's one of the things that all the new jacks don't get. They're like, well, why aren't you fucking stronger than you are? And it's like, I am about as elite could get. I don't know what you're asking me to do. Like, I don't really give a fuck. But like, I have certain weights that I don't want to get any lighter than. Like, if my bench got lower than 315, I'd consider eating suck starting a pistol. But
yeah.
You know, if my front squat got lower than I don't know 405, I'd probably consider that pistol. But but I mean, my front squat's 565 right now. Some days I have great bench days, some days I have shit bench days. The other day I hit 385 on a close grip, like fast as shit. Yeah. But some days, like 345 is a struggle. Like it's it's not, you're not always pushing forward. Sometimes you just gotta fight to keep what ground you got.
Yeah.
It's but this is all about the process and not about the end. That's what people don't seem to understand. They're like all these 5-year plans, and also, by the way, another aside. So 5-year plans came from the Russians, right? The Russians have a history of 5-year plans. Basically, what happens when you use a Russian 5-year plan, millions of people die, and the environment gets destroyed, and it generally doesn't work out well. So don't fucking do that. But
people write this down. So yeah. You're killing millions of people. Okay.
Yeah, like everybody in Ukraine dies during a 5-year plan. That's generally how it goes. So I would advise against that. And it's not about the end. It's about the middle. So fucking enjoy what you're doing. And if you don't enjoy what you're doing, then fucking take up a different hobby.
Yeah. You know, and I've come to the realization too, some people, and I know this is going to piss everybody off.
Oh, then I can't wait for you to say it.
There's some people that just aren't fucking meant to do this shit.
No.
There are just some people that fucking suck at it.
Or there are just some people who just want to be fit, but don't try to be the Mr. Olympia or Captain Powerlifter.
Yeah, and everybody's obsessed with competing and it's a good thing. Don't get me wrong.
I don't think it's a good thing.
It is a good thing because it gets more eyes on the sport and it increases the prize pool at the end of the road. It's one of those things where it brings more popularity. It's like. This is going to make people cringe too, but it's like tap out in MMA. Tap out clothing or affliction clothing, sorry.
Yeah, affliction and it got real popular, and what happened? Now it's only popular with white trash.
But MMA is still popular. Like those people that wore that affliction clothing is still watching MMA.
But you get too many lame people involved in something, and it starts to be really fucking lame, which is what's happened with everything.
Yeah, but not only the fitness industry is affected by that either. It's like
it's everything.
Every fucking thing. Which that's fucking cool. Like find your little niche hobby and then
no, stay out of my niche hobbies. They keep getting taken over by white trash. It's driving me fucking crazy. All this occult clothing I wear, and now I find out all these fucking white trash dickheads in jail are calling themselves Satanists so they can be edgy.
And everybody's obsessed with being a Viking now too.
Oh God, yeah, and I got fucking Odinist tattoos too. So
I will say this though about the Vikings. I get lumped in
with posers, and it drives me nuts.
I will say this about Vikings. I have this theory now. You had mentioned that before that the Viking rowers of yesteryear, right?
Yep.
Were so much stronger than the strong men of today, or many of them.
Yes.
And I wonder if that has anything to do with the way they rode, because if you look at all the depictions and everything, they rode with their entire fucking body, it was slow, it was grueling, it was just repetition.
Oh yeah.
And I was wondering if you could transfer, like, how would you go about transferring at least a little bit of that strength to yourself? Like, implement that in your own training. Would you pick up a row? Like, are the rowers sufficient enough, or is it time for somebody to kind of come into the fitness industry and make a Viking row machine?
Actually, it's on my list of things to experiment with. I'm still trying to do this bulk thing, but I'm gonna have to at some point, because I'm in the midst of writing this book, and rowing is a major part of it. So really my only experience with rowing daily was while I was in jail, and it was basically doing like TRX style rows. But like when I came out of jail, I weighed 200 pounds solid, and I had a very broad back. So and I went into the gym, and I was just generally strong on anything that had to do with picking stuff up. So I don't think it necessarily has to be like tremendously resistance oriented. I think that there is a strength endurance component that really plays a role as well. So
now you've done more research on this. When they were instructed on it, I mean, I'm guessing they didn't have much instruction on how to row, right?
No, you just get in a boat and row.
Just get in a boat, just fucking do it. But everybody kind of caught that rhythm, you know?
Yeah.
Everybody started to kind of mimic each other's form on the road. Do you think that has anything to do with it? Do you think that the way in which they use their entire body to transfer power to row these massive wooden, just basically tanks? I mean, they were heavy as shit. You know, they were built to weather these extreme sea conditions, you know, and because of that, they have some weight on them, and those were actually, you know, we are so spoiled to the fact that we have engines, right?
Yeah.
Those were fucking people. Those were about I don't know, 50, 20, whatever people. Using their strength to do it.
On top of that, when they constructed these boats, they only used an axe. They did not use saws at all, and they were carving those boats. They would find 10 or 12 trees that were the same length, and cut those. They would cut each slat out of a single tree along the grain with an axe. So they were carrying whole fucking trees around. They didn't chop them into logs and then use planks. There wasn't any of that. You're talking about a 20-foot long slat that they would carve out of a tree. And maybe you get like 4 or 5 out of that tree, and then you got to go to the next tree. So they were busy carrying around these big fucking trees as well. So, and they were swinging axes all day long. I think the combination of different, like, everyday movements that they did really played a massive role in developing the level of strength that they did.
And we bitch about driving to the grocery store to get our bountiful feast. Okay.
That's one of the reasons why I started walking places. Well, one, I really like to read and walk, so yeah. I'm this dickhead walking down the street reading a book, but I really enjoy that. And another thing is, like, I started to think to myself, like, what the fuck am I, like, it's all right, it's a 5, I have time on my hands, and it's a 5-minute drive or it's a 30-minute walk. Why don't I just fucking walk? So I throw on a backpack and walk, because I don't see any reason not to. Like, what am I going to do otherwise? Sit on the fucking couch and watch TV? Fuck that.
I do the same thing with, like, podcasts and audiobooks, just because I'm one of those people that have extreme ADHD, which is why I'm excited about the new aggro. We can't say much, but it's just one of those things where
you're really pumped about that shit I found, huh?
I am going to use it. God damn it. It's so fucking bad. I'll start one thing and I'll halfway finish it. It's really fucking bad. Like, I know I was diagnosed with it with a kid, and I'm like, nah, I don't need ADHD medication. I can handle it while I'm an adult. Well, it's got fucking worse when I've gotten older. It's fine though. Like, I was part of the Ritalin generation. What do you think about that, by the way?
When I was a kid, it was just starting to come out that like the Ritalin and all that shit. I mean, I was a fucking maniac when I was a kid. My mom used to make me run around the house 20 times before I was allowed to come in the house for dinner. Like, that's how much energy I had. They would have had me, I mean, they tried to get me on Ritalin and shit like that, but my mom was just like, that makes no sense. Why would you
go out fucking side and you run around the block.
Exactly. And no, I loved running. Shit. The neighbors all thought I was going to be in the Olympics for running. I mean, I've done some research into it. It's really just another way for the pharma industry to peddle amphetamines to the general populace. They've been doing it since the 30s, and like they just keep developing new reasons why they should do it. I mean, I love taking Adderall. I don't get a lot done other than fucking and masturbating, right. That's it. Like, I get so horny on it, I can't think about anything else.
Well, I know there's some people. I definitely know there's some people that it definitely helps keep shit together. Like, there just are those people, and I completely understand that. I know a couple different people that it was my old profession that used that, and if they didn't, they could not function. Now, is that dependence? I don't know, but
it's a lack of personal discipline, and I can say that because I have been diagnosed with that shit, and it's just a lack of discipline. It takes effort to concentrate, and they refuse to apply themselves. I don't
like me.
I really don't begrudge them that, because there are days where I'm just listless as shit and I have a real hard time sitting still and like paying attention and doing what I need to do. But I think everybody has that. And I don't begrudge anybody using Adderall, because quite frankly, if I had it, I'd be taking it by the handful. But I would get nothing done. I'd just be a spider monkey in a desiccated husk. And my girlfriend would be in the hospital. So
how did your pelvis get fractured? Don't worry about it. But it's one of those things where I'm excited about it. So when we're ready to reveal it, I'm sure we'll do a Hatecast only. But like you mentioned, like, it's, you know, so many people bitch about, you know, driving to the grocery store or whatever. But like, you know how much better your physical fitness could be if you just walked places. And I don't mean walking, you know, 7 or 8 miles. Like, I'm not going to be completely crazy here.
If it's a mile there and back, walk it. There's no reason not to.
Yeah. I'm not saying walk for 45 minutes to somewhere and then walk 45 minutes back, but I am saying that, you know, take that time to, you know, better yourself. You know, that's something people don't do either, is they're so concentrated on getting back to their entertainment. And I know we're being fucking hypocrites because we're feeding the goddamn machine.
Yeah, but they can walk and listen to this. I mean, I listen to last podcast on the left sometimes when I walk to the store. So,
and that's why I like the new type of media like podcast or something like that, because not only are sometimes they educational, but I feel like it's the future. Like, it's going to kill radio, you know, more than it already has. And you know, thanks for following along on the journey, guys.
Yeah.
And but yeah, pick up a book, read something, listen to an educational podcast, something you can learn something from. Take that time to better yourself. Now, I'm not a fucking life coach. Fucking don't listen to me. Like, there's still a bunch of fucking shit wrong in my life, but I think that's something that everybody can kind of implement. It's one of those aspects of performance that, as you know, gym junkies, we don't really think about. You know. Because everybody's
it's always been something I've stressed, but I don't. It's funny that all these other life coaches don't. It's almost like they can't read.
Oh shit! You've heard it here first. All life coaches can't read. It is now fact. Somebody changed the Wikipedia on it.
They are pseudo-intellectuals who probably can't read, or they don't read well.
Yeah. Or they speak like I do sometimes.
I marvel at it sometimes.
Oh yeah, hell yeah, hell yeah.
I've stopped correcting you.
It's worked. Yes, just roll past it. It's worked. But no, it's one of those things where that's exercising your intellect, right? Should be something that everybody does. Learn something new every day. Don't be afraid to try. That's another thing too, man. Like, people are so close-minded when it comes to food. People are so afraid of trying new food. Like, what is the worst that's gonna fucking happen to you? You spit it out. Like, it's fucking. You're not gonna die, right? Unless you like try some ultra shady pufferfish. But, you know, like, you're not going to fucking die. You can try some, like, you know, like, I just recently added, you know, that Thai fish sauce to some of my food, and it adds umami without being MSG, which, by the way,
there's nothing wrong with MSG.
I'm going to be ordering some MSG, right?
Yeah.
So, because I'm really, you know, you put that shit on meat, and it's fucking heaven.
It tastes delicious.
Yeah, but people are so fucking closed-minded when it comes to food. Like, what is
What's your favorite
huh?
ethnic food then?
What's my favorite ethnic food? Ethnic
Yes.
as in what?
As in a different ethnicity other than like Western American.
Well, okay, so for all of you out there, fucking Chinese food does not fucking count, okay? That's American Chinese food. That is not Chinese food. That is literally just fucking grease.
It's just garbage.
Fucking, yeah. It's great tasting garbage. But it's still garbage.
No, I've actually lost the taste for it. I every time we order Chinese now, I'll eat 2 steamed dumplings, and I'm like, oh, fuck it, I'm done. Like, unless we're going to dim sum, I don't want to fucking know about it.
Now, do you think that has to do with you just not... Because Chinese restaurants are one of those weird things where, like, you have to find the one, right? You have to find that one that you guys fucking love, that you keep going back to. Otherwise, they're all just meh. You know?
To me, it just tastes like grease and sugar and nothing else. It's like, why don't we just go eat fucking donuts? I just, that's all it tastes like to me. It doesn't really have a flavor otherwise.
Be careful, you're going to start appealing to the Reddit crowd.
What do you mean?
You mentioned donuts.
No, for fuck's sake.
But no, so my favorite, I guess you would say ethnic food, would be... I actually had some real Mexican food from, like, actual people from Mexico. I mean, it was fucking good.
You lived in Austin for how many years and never had, like, legit Mexican food?
Okay, let's get one fucking thing straight, okay? Most of the places in Austin do not serve legitimate Mexican food, right? They have that little, you take that little pinch of American, and you just sprinkle it on there. That's what they all have. Like, and that's completely fine. Like, that's mixing culinary worlds and stuff. But no, I have tried actual Mexican food. It's the bomb. I also like handmade ravioli. So, like handmade noodles, like actually going through a, you know, roller and making the noodle dough. I guess I'm not very experienced in cooking ravioli.
It's dough, yeah.
Yeah, that freshly made ravioli is pretty damn good too. Although other than that, I mean, like, you know, this new craze about every place having, like, octopus on the menu is weird too. You know that
bothers me just because of the level of intelligence that octopus have. I don't like. It bothers me when people eat them. It's just one of those. I don't eat. I really don't like seafood, so I don't eat it anyway. But that's just one of those things that just strangely bothers me.
You know. Funny thing you mentioned that. So, like, I read this the other day about vegans and the hypocrisy that's in their culture. So, you go to the store, you buy some prepackaged corn, right? That says vegan on it. Well, what you don't know is when they harvested that corn, they scooped up about, like, 3 raccoons in the fucking basically meat chipper, right? That they fucking go through the fields with, right? And harvest that shit. I mean, there was an interview with somebody who worked the line at, like, a vegan friendly prepackaged vegetable plant or whatever, right? And they said the amount of dead animals that they pull out of their harvested veggies is alarming, and vegans should be aware. And, you know, they were trying to white knight it, you know, like, this is what's really going on, and they're talking about how everybody should have their own own vegetable farm or garden or whatever. And I thought that was kind of fucking funny. It was like, you know, you're sitting there going vegan for reasons, but you don't really take the time to fully think over the amount of actual work that goes into harvesting the food.
Or how about the fact that the people who harvest the food are generally illegal immigrants, and they're not going to be harvesting it much longer. So, yeah, thanks, Republicans. We won't. We'll just let it all rot.
God.
We'll just let it all rot. That's why not? Or we'll just get the entire state of West Virginia, enslave them, and then force them to harvest it. Because I mean, they've been on welfare for 50 years anyway. No, wait, we're gonna get coal back. That'll be great for the environment. So I guess they'll be at work. So I don't know.
Everybody
I guess it'll all just rot them. I can't wait for. We really need to bring back coal energy. I think that's such a great idea. I'd also like to bring back steam engines, and
hell yeah,
yeah, like beating women in public. I think that goes with coal.
To be fair, back to the steam engines. Like,
we need to get children working again because they have little fingers and they can get into tiny places. We really need to get the children, get them out of school, and then get them in the workplace. I think like a nice 16-hour work day that goes right along with coal. It works out.
Are you kidding me, man? No. See, you keep them in school so that they can be trained to be part of the machine.
They were already part of the machine if they're working a 16-hour workday. Give them a half day off on Sundays, Throw them a bone.
Yeah. I don't think that's a solid plan, but...
I think it all goes together with coal.
Oh, man. Hey, whatever happened to steam? Is it just inefficient?
Do you not know that it's inefficient? Or...
Well, I know that it's inefficient, okay?
Yes.
But, is it semi-clean? Like energy?
No, because it runs off coal.
Oh, well, there's that.
Yeah.
You do need something to heat. Yeah, okay. All right.
Yeah. I mean, you could use wood, but like wood is very space intensive. So and I don't think it burns as hot as coal. So you'd have to wait longer for the pressure to rise. That's another problem with steam engines. You have to wait for pressure to build in the engine before you can actually do anything.
Yeah, and then you have to deal with the annoying teapot screaming.
Yeah, and you got to beat your slaves, and I mean it's a whole thing. You got a lot.
Damn it.
You got a lot to do when you got steam.
Well, it'll be okay. Speaking of steam, we did. Something I did want to bring up to you is there was a post on Anabolic Minds. Like I said, I browse there. I'm there all the time.
I'm sure it was just dripped with erudition and intellect.
Hell yeah. So people are wondering, and quite a few people have their own opinions on this, but I'd like to get yours. So bodybuilding on a budget is what it was called, right? But what do you think are some of the best budget foods that someone can go ahead and get, like for nutritional value and stuff like that?
I feel like we've covered this before, haven't we?
We've covered a little bit of it. Now, something that we haven't really covered. I know you're a beef fanatic and I'm a beef fanatic too. But sometimes beef is out of people's price range.
Chicken thighs are the cheap. I mean, chicken thighs are practically free.
Chicken thighs oh my gosh. Pork
they are
loin.
Near enough to free as could be. So, chicken thighs are like 79 cents a pound.
Well, pork loin too.
Yep.
That's another thing. Like I went to Sam's and I got myself 2 big old honking pork loins, right? And just because I was gonna try pork again, because pork's one of those things where I just get burnt out on, And but it is pretty fucking good. Guess what? The whole fucking log was $10, and it made I portioned it out to about 8-ounce portions each, up in little baggies. And that's another thing, guys. If you want to save yourself money, invest in a deep freeze. Invest in plastic bags and fucking bag up your meat. I mean, you're not an idiot. Get it done. But 8-ounce packages, and it made about 22 of them, those 2 logs. So for $20, 22 days worth of meat, that's pretty fucking cool. Now, I do have multiple meat sources every day. I have chicken, I have beef, and I have pork now because I've got tired of fish. But what are some other budget foods that we can kind of throw out to people? I know potatoes is one of those that's up there in budget land.
Beans and rice. I mean, it gets no fucking cheaper than beans and rice. Yeah. And you get a complete protein out of that. Tastes good. You're getting fiber, so it fills you up. I mean, beans and rice are a staple in Central and South America for a good reason.
What about fat sources?
It's not hard to get fat. If you really need to put fat in something, just add like vegetable oil. But butter's cheap. I fucking put butter in everything. Now I just my girlfriend made spaghetti sauce yesterday, and it was fucking banging. Like she did it out of like using actual like tomato paste and stuff like that. And I was like, "What the hell did you do differently with this?" And she was like, threw a little cream and butter in it. And I was like, oh my god, well there it is. Like, I mean, the shit was just silky as shit on my tongue. It was amazing. I actually ate it with rice. It was that good, and I didn't feel like waiting for pasta. So
there you fucking go. But that was just a little interesting thing we could kind of go over. And I know that, people are obsessed with vegetables too, and I am too. But, go to Sam's, buy spinach. At Sam's Club, they also have
How
these...
do you mean obsessed with vegetables?
Huh?
How do you mean...
I have a lot of vegetables a day. Yes.
Do you really? Why?
I do.
You just like them?
Well, spinach is an interesting one. So I found this one study that kind of vilifies my reasoning for eating it every day. And it has to do with marathon runners and creatine kinase levels. So basically, what that means in layman terms is how damaged they were the day after, or 48 hours after, or 72 hours after, right? So 1 gram of spinach, and I know this is stupid, I don't fucking follow this. Like 1 gram.
How much spinach is 1 gram? Like your pinky fingernail?
It's actually a pretty voluminous amount. Like
is it?
For me, I'm at like it's 1 gram per pound, or I'm sorry, 1 gram per kilogram, right? Was used in the study. So that equates to about, let's see, fucking math.
You're like 100 kilograms, or you're 110 kilograms. That's
no,
true.
I'm 269 now.
Oh, are you? Then you're 115 kilograms. 116.
122.
You're 122 kilograms? Really?
Yeah. So that would mean I would need to eat 122 grams of spinach to get the same benefits as in the study. But what it showed is that they were the creatine kinase levels, like blood marker wise, were more than halved, right? So basically, it's like a supercharge in your recovery. And this is just this was a great study because they used, and I'll link it in the description box below. They use just raw spinach as their go-to. So it's not like a proprietary blend supplement, or it's not a proprietary extract or whatever. It's just raw spinach. And it's kind of rare to go across studies like that, but it's one of those, it's another little performance tool that I can have in my toolbox. So I go ahead and have spinach every day. And it's just something I've just continued to do just because I actually do like the taste of spinach. So.
Oh. I mean, it's sautéed in a pan with, if you blanch it and sauté it with olive oil and garlic, it's delicious. But
well, that's what I do. I just do butter and garlic. Or I do something acidic, like citrus, to kill the, like lemon juice or something, to kill the bitterness.
Yeah, that's why I blanch it. But.
Yeah. But something like that, I mean, like, that stuff, if you do a bunch of stuff like that, it adds up to a big difference. There's other benefits, like, I have some sort of tomato, like, my tomato source has been not fucking tomatoes because I despise the taste of tomatoes. So I have something like tomato sauce or tomato paste that I use and make into a sauce, or use it as a base for something that I'm cooking, marinate a chicken breast in tomato sauce for a while, and then add some different spices and stuff. Like I made this cayenne pepper tomato sauce and garlic salt, a little marinade for my chicken the other day, and it was fucking bomb.
Nice.
So, and tomatoes are heart healthy, and they have a bunch of other purported health benefits and blah blah blah. Like it's there in tomato sauce. The thing about it too is it's like 64 cents a can. So I'm pretty good with that, cheap bastard I am. But yeah, I don't know, man. People have been going crazy over vegetables, and I think that has to do with the vegans too. For all the bad things that vegans have done, they've also shed some light on some other things that is beneficial. Like people started eating more almonds. Like that's probably a good change, So the cost of almonds have gone down a little bit.
Do you think that has to do with vegans?
When there's something that has a powerful agenda that they fucking try and push, like if something becomes...
But all of the bodybuilding magazines, like Men's Health especially, pushed almonds for years, and that had nothing to do with vegans. And it was actually...
It doesn't fucking matter unless it's soccer moms doing yoga.
Well, yeah, but I'm talking about Men's Health, Women's Health, all that, like all those Weeder magazines.
Oh yeah,
they pushed fucking almonds like crazy. There was always articles about superfoods, and superfoods always included almonds. So
I mean, look at the fucking coconut oil craze that was just recent. Like that fucking shit went bananas.
And I mean, bodybuilders have known about MCT oil for fucking at least since Dan Duchesne, which was like early '90s. I've known about MCT oil at least that long.
Yeah.
Basically, the entirety of the time I've been training, I've known about coconut oil. I just never really used it. And I mean, they had regular MCT oil back in the day, but it tasted like fucking gasoline.
Yeah. Well, no, I think there's still some brands out there that it does taste like gasoline still, isn't there?
I'm sure there is. I'm sure like Twin Lab makes an MCT oil that tastes like gasoline. Everything they make tastes like shit.
Although we could be wrong. If you have any experience with it, go ahead and comment in the comment section below and say that we're fucking idiots.
Yeah, I mean, Twin Lab has been around forever, but they have not improved their products in about that long. So,
speaking of products, I do have one thing that was asked by somebody on Anabolic Minds. Bacchus.
It's in production.
It's in production. Okay. He's got some questions about the ingredients. So that Kanna, could you go over a little bit about what Kanna does and how Kanna can be used? Sure.
Kanna is, I mean, if we're gonna get technical about it, Kanna is it's a plant that contains certain psychoactive compounds in it.
Hell
and those compounds have been, well, the herb itself has been used by South African tribes for millennia to both get stoned and to just chill out. It depends on the amount that you ingest as to what the effects are. In lower doses, it just kind of has sort of an anxiolytic, like anti-anxiety sort of thing, and then when in higher doses, you get a little goofy with it. It's not like you don't get hazy with it though. Having had experience with it, it doesn't give you like the sort of goofy hazy thing that weed does. It's more like you get the goofiness of weed, but with like a slight uplift, like you had like some coffee. And so that's why with Bacchus, I added in PEA because that also improves your mood, gives you euphoria, and speeds you up. So the entire purpose of Bacchus was to give you a little speedy high without impairing you in any way, and then adding in enough nootropics that it actually helped aid in anything you had to do that was intellectual. And so
basically trying to make your day better, is what you're saying.
Trying to, it really is. Not only is it trying to make your day better, it makes your night better, because when you come down from Kanna, you don't crash. It's very gradual, and then you sleep really deeply, and it isn't habit forming. So it's not like you're going to end up hooked on it or anything like that, but it is truly ideal. And this is really what I was thinking about. Those days when you have like deadlines and you are just mashed up against a bunch of deadlines and you don't know where to fucking start first, that's going to help you get through that day, because you'll be able to very calmly say, all right, well, here's a good starting place for this. I'll get that done, and then I'll just move on to the next thing. And you'll just be singing along to yourself. And apparently, well, I haven't noticed this, but I haven't taken Kanna in those doses in a couple of years. But other people have noticed that it really helps with, in the same way that weed does. It helps with your perception of like sound and color. So if you're listening to music while you're on it, it's a good time. I will say that it is definitely a lot of fun to fuck on.
Okay. Duly noted. Well, yes. I know what my first dose is going to be. But yeah, I mean, so something I would like to point out, guys, is, this is not a replacement for alcohol. That is one thing that I've gotten a question for. It's not a replacement for alcohol. It is not a party drug. It is a mood enhancement / euphoria product.
Also, should not be combined with alcohol.
Correct.
If you combine it with alcohol,
you're gonna have a bad time.
Yeah, I don't know if you'll have a bad time, but there's a very real chance you will sit down at a bar and you will wake up in the jail. So, and I'm not saying you'll wake up in jail because you did something, because you wilded out and went crazy. It's probably just because you passed out at the bar and they called the cops because you wouldn't get up. So.
Oh, that makes sense. Yeah, no. Yeah. Like every time you have one of those experiences, by the way, guys, if you've ever I know I've had a little too much drink and I've woken up somewhere different, and there's actually a funny story here. I had one of my first times drinking. Okay, I was at my parents' house and I was underage. We do not condone this cast and pain. Blah 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 blah. So I was underage, and I was drinking, and I did not know my limit, and I went ahead, and I got blackout drunk. Now, I woke up with... Now, I had this neighbor across the street, right? And this girl I had a crush on. This is fucking embarrassing to me. So you guys are going to hear the story, and don't tell anybody, okay? I know this is on a podcast. Don't worry about it. So... what ended up happening is this girl I had a crush on and everything like that. So, somewhere in my drunken mind, I thought that it would be completely fine to take my pants off, right? Draw the blinds, right? And basically show the world. Now...
Ow! Wow!
Yeah, show the world. I don't know if anything was saw, because it was anything was seen, because it was 1 o'clock in the morning. But, I woke up with a lot of regret that day. So, every time you do something like that, it ends in a bad time.
I don't know that it always ends in a bad time, but because I had an ex-girlfriend who, it depended on the day, but somewhere between 4 and 6 shots of tequila, and she was naked, and it didn't matter where the fuck we were. So we actually
take that back then.
We got 86'd from 2 bars in 2 different states in 2 days, because she just got straight up naked at the bar, and because 3 shots in, she's showing her tits, and then I'd make a joke that, if you guys buy her any more shots, she's gonna, because I'm always in open relationships, so we're just fucking freaks. But so I'd be like, you guys buy her any more shots, and her pants are coming off, and of course. She's got 6 shots right there. She bangs them all down, and then she's bare-ass naked in the middle of a bar. So, but one time, and I wouldn't call her OCD, but she was particular about certain things. One of those being, if you started slicing a lime, you had to use all the lime. Had I known this, I would have just eaten a lime because I'll just straight up eat a lime. But we were doing tequila shots, and I was making small slices, and so she just kept taking more and more shots. Well, at one point I was like, "Look, I'm gonna get us some food." So I left and got some Sonic or something. I came back with it, and she's just running around her apartment naked, and her roommates are like, "What the fuck?" Like,
we've all been there. Yeah.
Can you get her clothes back on? And I was like, I'll try. So, I mean, I got her shirt back on for like 10 minutes. And then we did another shot. I got up and took a leak. I came back, and I was like, where the fuck did Amber go? And they were like, she just left. And so she lived on the 3rd floor. I go down all 3 flights of stairs, and she is laying at the bottom of the stairs with her feet on either railing. So just vagina just hanging out. And I was like, are you just waiting for the first person to come down these stairs to fuck you? And she's like, yeah. And I was like, Jesus Christ. So I just threw her over my shoulder and carried her up 3 flights. Because she was going to go to jail for certain that day. I had to literally lock her in her room. But, yeah, they might lead to regret sometimes, but it definitely leads to some amusing stories other times. So
that's all that fucking matters, man. Like, there's a shit ton of things that I still like. Just give me that pit feeling in the bottom of my stomach, like that you can laugh about later, right? Like, for instance, when I lost a bunch of weight, I don't know if I told you this story, but I was actually in the Warrior Dash in Austin, Texas.
Okay.
And I got like 8,000th out of like, or no, I got like 800th out of 8,000 or something like that, right? So I didn't place bad. But I also, made a lot of mistakes that race. So I sprinted out of the gate, and they, when they were setting this thing up, like there was some wind or something like that, one of the headers or the runners, right, got knocked over. So there were 2 paths. And I just kind of flipped a coin in my head. Turned out that was the wrong fucking way. Now, I laugh about it now because the crowd, when they saw me go the wrong way, they're like, "Aw." Like, just this wave of aw, Mm-hmm. But now I can laugh about it. Like, all that stupid shit you go through in life, you'll fucking laugh about it later. Don't fucking worry. There's no such thing as regret, just funny story.
Exactly. You don't want to die with no funny stories.
But speaking of stories, so this guy you wrote about, let's talk about him real quick, and then I think we can end it. So this dude was kind of a badass. He had no legs, of course, right?
Yeah. No, none.
But that didn't fucking matter because the dude had a massive upper body.
Yeah, he was absolutely huge.
And his name was John McWilliams.
Yep. Yeah, he was a bodybuilder in the 40s and the 50s. He took I think 13th in the 1946 Mr. America, but he did win Best Arms, and then he took like 18th the following year. And I think that was all due to, I think part of it was due to the fact that he had no legs, and then the other half was just because at the time he was a mass monster, and I think they kind of downgraded him because of that.
He also pulled in the fucking 700s. Jesus fucking Christ.
Yeah, he pulled 710 with no legs at all, which is fucking crazy. And he was one of the first people to bench 500. And although Leroy Colbert gets the nod for the first 21-inch arms, John McWilliams had 22-inch arms pumped like for years, and I think that he beat Leroy Colbert, but honestly, I can't stand Leroy Colbert. The guy just was intolerable. So, whatever. But
a lot of those guys, like, there's a ton of the guys who were from that era and from the early days of lifting and stuff like that are cool. But I will say that there are some that are cringy.
And he is definitely in that category.
He's a cringe fest. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
So McWilliams had an ARM program, which is up on both chaosandpain.com and blogspot.chaosandpain.com.
Yeah, I'm reading the not safe for work version, by the way, because that's the
Okay,
better
I
one.
didn't put any porn in this
Yeah.
one. It's just
God
because
damn
I'm
it! You're fucking
keeping people on their
slacking.
toes. Keeping people
Ugh.
on their toes.
Well, you
So,
got some muscle porn in here, so that's fine.
um, so
Some
he
dude
had
over
this.
there on Reddit just touching his ding dang right now. His ding dang.
Just his little limp penis. He's just yanking away on it with two fingers
Dude's
and his thumb.
flexing, man.
Yeah. So he has a 6-week program that it's 3 times a week, and Gene Mosey, who was another bodybuilder who had 20-inch arms at that time in the early 50s, pre-steroids. He also he had a 450 bench. It was a big deal. And Gene Mosey was also an editor for Muscle and Fitness, I think, for years. Gene Mosey said that of the 37 people that he put on that program, the average gain in 6 weeks was 1.25 inches. So 1.25 inches in 6 weeks on your arms. And so I figure, fuck it. Like, why not give it a shot? And so I'm writing this article, and if you look at in the article, you'll see that I said that everybody that has ever written about this fucked it up, which they did. If you look at any of the other articles about this guy's program, it'll show it as 2 giant sets, and these giant sets made no sense to me. So then I read the breakdown of the workout, and it's actually supersets, which makes far more fucking sense. So just make sure you read through the article before you go bombing into this thing. But I honestly I don't. It's like a can't fail type workout.
Yeah. And I will say this, guys, you have to read this article. This is something that everybody needs to go ahead and click on now, because this dude, pre-steroids era is very, very interesting to me, because a lot of these guys, like, they didn't bullshit about their routines either. Like, there wasn't any need to do that. Like, you have people that do interviews now for magazines and stuff like that, and they give you these bullshit 4-week routines because, I mean, like, I do bench press 3 times 10, I do tricep extension 3 times 10. Like, no. Like, they do different. That's not their actual routine. The guys back then didn't lie about shit. They were fucking open about everything. And if you notice, their secret a lot of the times too was they weren't afraid to gain some body fat. I mean, Bruce Randall's one of them. That just, he became the strength monster, cut down, and then fucking looked amazing.
Yeah, and John McWilliams, bulked up to like 240, 250, and you can see pictures of him. He's not fat about it, especially his back is just fucking massive. And that's when he had the 22-inch arms. But then at one point he cut down to 186.
Yeah.
I think he was like 6'2" or something like that. So
he was over 40, by the way, when he cut to 186.
Yeah, 186. Still had 19.25-inch arms at 186. So, I mean, had fucking massive arms. And he always kept his arms big. So and he was a 500-pound bencher, and he fucking just trained arms like a fucking maniac, and that's how he got it done. So.
And he pulled 700. Jesus fucking Christ.
Yeah,
for back
710.
Then. Also, I gotta ask this: what was the standard barbell back then? Was those the 25-pound ones?
No, the standard the barbell was standardized in the early 30s, as I recall. I've written about it before, but there was the plates weren't standardized, so there weren't those. They were generally smaller than the ones we have now.
Right. That's
why when you see guys deadlifting back in the day, they've got like 11 million fucking plates on there, because like nobody had 10 45s laying around. So
well, also a lot of the commercial gyms, a lot of the gyms around the United States have they're the standard for plates, because all the plate racks and stuff like that's another reason too, is all the plates are built to kind of stand on these racks and have a standard size so that you can deadlift from a certain, there's a lot that goes into the standardization of fitness equipment that we just don't think about. So, but something I did think was interesting about this article is he, like you said, he was superset crazy. And that's something I just don't see anymore. Like, you know, I see a distinct lack of supersets in the gym. I'm wondering why that is. Do you have a theory on that?
People don't program them, and everybody is fucking jacking their dicks over programs and never ever tries anything different. I mean, I do supersets constantly for arms. It's kind of like it's just a standard for me, but it's like I do cables as a general rule, and I just go for volume rather than like varying the rep ranges and stuff like McWilliams was doing. So I'm really going to focus on that, and I only do it once a week. He does it 3. So we'll see what I can get done with that. But I think it has a lot to do with the death of magazines, because magazines really, they gave a lot of different training techniques, a lot of intensity multipliers. There were a lot of drop sets in Weider magazines, a lot of supersets, all that shit. And now everybody does the same fucking stupid bullshit weak sauce internet programs.
Also, by the way, the fourth image on this page has an awesome looking bench. That arch bench. What the fuck is that thing? Is that custom?
Yeah, that must be. Back in the day, most equipment in gyms was custom.
Yeah.
So, I don't know what the hell that is. Because at that point, there was no such thing as an incline bench. It was an incline board. And so you actually, there weren't uprights, as you can see in that picture. There were no uprights on benches. So what you'd do is you'd clean the bar to your chest and then fall back into this board and start pressing it to do incline bench. And for actual bench press, so for his 500-pound bench press, he either cleaned it, lapped it, rolled it up his chest and pressed it off his chest, or he had people hand it to him. Which is...
Do you think there's any room for that style of incline bench nowadays? Like, I know people still do the whole dumbbell thing, and I mean, you know, I've fallen away from dumbbells just because I've gotten to the point where I can press the 120s, and my gym goes up to 120, and then the other, like the 130, 140, 150s, they're all... I don't know, man. After 120, they get kind of awkward in my gym.
They get awkward. Usually the handles are bent, in my experience. Yeah. And also, like, I never trained with a spotter, so for me, benching the 200s, there is a reasonable chance I'm going to smash my fucking face with one of those 200s. I have no interest in doing that, so I'm not about that life. But
I also like failing. Like, if I'm going to fail on a lift, right, I like the option of dropping it down on my chest and being able to control it. With dumbbells, once you get heavy enough, you can seriously fuck up your shoulder if you fail, like, in the wrong way. I saw some guy snap his shoulder back, like dislocate his shoulder.
Yeah, you can fail out to the side and tear a pec.
Yeah,
because you're trying to do a fucking fly with a 150-pound dumbbell. It's a bad time.
So I also see here on the article that he was a fan of behind the neck presses. Hey, shout out to behind the neck press,
which I love.
Yeah, I do too.
Also, those guys, because they didn't have the uprights, so they would sit in like a basically what you would see with a behind the neck press like chair now, except there were no uprights. So again, you had two guys pick it up and set it on your shoulders, and you pressed up from your shoulders. Yeah. So he was a big fan of taking 5 deep breaths in between each rep. So he would press off his shoulders, take it back down to his back, take 5 deep breaths, because they were, deep breathing exercises were in vogue back then. And he was trying to expand his rib cage, and then he would press again. So,
yeah. Well, I encourage everybody to go read this article.
Thank you.
The fuck now. And also, to close this out, I do have kind of an aside that I'd like to bring up. Do you think in the next couple of years we're going to see more speed and agility come to strength sports? Specifically strongman?
Nah,
No.
I don't. I don't see that happening because strongman is getting very, very rigid on the exercises that they do, or on the like movements that they do, and the it's getting very standardized. So I think, if anything, you're going to. If we can drag this out a little bit, Wayne's going to get back to me with an exact ETA on Bacchus.
Now, that's fucking fine. Yeah.
Yep. But I think we're actually going to see strongman is going to be like reduced down to a very sort of static 6 lifts or something like that. I think it's going to get exceedingly boring.
Yeah. See, I think because the way they've been doing it now, and I might be wrong, is they've been rotating lifts year to year.
It depends on it. Well, I mean they do, but basically you've got the Arnold, which is more strength oriented, and the World's Strongest Man, which is more endurance oriented.
See, what fucks me up is I think that Atlas stones are going to go away.
Why?
Because I think that keg carries and like car carries and stuff like that is more in lines with a better loading scheme.
You ever see that video of the dude? I don't remember what the last stone was, like 385 or something, but he goes over backwards with it, lands with it on his fucking chest. I don't even know how many ribs that guy must have broken. All of them, I guess.
I don't fucking know. I've seen some pretty gnarly accidents. There's this one video that keeps being posted around of this guy in knee wraps. He's in an Olympic squat rack. You know, those ones that... Man, I just don't fucking get those. Those fucking... They're 2 poles, and you step out from under... I can't fucking squat on one of those things. I feel like the whole rack is going to tip. And they do. But there's this one video that's going around of this guy just fucking walking out for a squat. He has this guy spotting him behind, which, whatever, like if you're squatting any amount of weight, this is something that I think we need to cover. What is the correct way to spot squats? I'd be interested to hear your thoughts on that, because this whole I'm going to be behind you and lift you up by the elbows shit.
Oh, you don't lift by the elbows. You lift from the chest.
See, I think that, you know, when it comes to the acceptable, like you should really have, if you're lifting more than, you know, your body weight, and you need a spotter for that, I think the only acceptable option is to have 2 spotters and both of them to be at the end of the barbell so that they can catch the weight and evenly distribute the weight between the 2 spotters. That way you can really end up saving somebody if they end up biting the dust. If you have 2 people at each end, like they spot at powerlifting meets now. But then again,
I mean, that's a good way to spot, but by the same token, if you only have 1 spotter, it should be sufficient to have somebody standing behind you. And if you're struggling, they either hook like where your pecs meet your shoulders if it's a girl, so you're not grabbing her tits, or you just put your hands on their pecs, and all you have to do is just pull their chest up a little bit, and that'll be enough to get them moving. Otherwise, they have just completely fucked you.
Well, I believe this guy was only squatting like 495. So, but he failed, and his knees went backwards.
Good Jesus!
And
how the fuck did he do that?
He flamingoed.
How in the fuck? Like walking out, did his knees go out or what?
Well, he was in wraps, right? And he went.
Christ, idiot!
Yeah,
what
don't
the
worry
fuck?
About it.
Was he 110 pounds, squatting a 495 in wraps?
No, he looked kind of beefy.
What fucking pussies! Jesus Christ!
But his knees went backwards.
Well, he should just go home and kill himself. Like honestly, because you're getting 150 pounds out of wraps. So he only squats 350 raw? Fuck you, fuck him, get the fuck out of here. I don't even want to hear this story anymore. I'm glad that guy broke his fucking knees. Fuck him.
But but when you see videos like that and stuff, you see people, like he fell on top of the squat, or on the spotter. You know? Like the spotter didn't have him at all.
I don't understand how the fuck you break your knees backwards.
You know, I think at the end of the day, that comes with I think that may just be a weak chink in your armor. I don't think that's when it comes to a specifically a break or a thing like that, I think that's genetic. Like,
I
you
have
must
never in
be
my
weak
life
there.
locked my knees on a squat. So what you've told me is this guy, number one, had no business squatting this weight. Two, he's a fucking moron. And three, we should stop discussing him because I'm just getting worked up.
Well, you know, people, when they do wraps nowadays, they basically stiff leg it. Like, they lock their kneecap and then they wrap.
Yeah, that's how you're supposed to do it, but you still walk it out with soft knees and you squat with soft knees. You don't have locked knees.
Do you think that it's necessarily beneficial? Do you think that you should have somebody wrap you that knows how to wrap?
Yeah.
Because I think that a lot of these injuries that we see when it comes to people with wraps is because they have somebody who's very inexperienced at it, wrapping them.
I think a lot of the injuries we see with people who use wraps is because they're fucking pussies and they can't actually squat the weight. Call me crazy. Call me crazy, but really, you're looking at guys in the 70s who are using ace bandages versus these guys who are literally getting 150 pounds out of their reps.
I still want to
play on your reps. What the fuck are we talking about? Who cares?
Man, I still want to play around with one of those old denim squat suits. I just don't know if I could find one that fits me. Those things were fucking brutal. Those things added a fuck ton to your squat, but there's a reason they don't fucking sell them anymore because people were fucking losing limbs. They were so fucking tight. People were fucking cutting off blood circulation.
Plus, you ever see the ass blow out of one of those and the catastrophe that happens afterwards? There's not a spotter on earth that can catch you that fast. It doesn't matter how you could have 100 spotters. It doesn't matter.
No. And the worst part is I don't have any experience at all. I've never worn knee sleeves, right? I have never ever worn elbow sleeves. Most of my training is done raw, except for wrist wraps, because I feel like that's an area where like it really doesn't fucking matter. You should probably be wrapping anyway. Just because you can't like make your wrist more rigid, so to speak. I feel like wrist wraps are perfectly acceptable, but I do most of my training raw. So I am actually going to be picking up some knee wraps or knee sleeves to actually see what the fuck people are talking about, because I can't for the life of me, like, they have different sizes. I can't for the life of me figure out exactly how much they help, why somebody would train with them doing stuff like leg extensions.
You shouldn't.
All that
Number
shit.
one, like with knee sleeves, that's going to kill any snap you get out of the knee sleeves, which is not a lot, but it's going to kill it. Basically, for me, knee sleeves keep my knees warm and they keep my kneecaps tracking in the exact right spot. So, like, when I've been training for a meet and like my IT bands are real fucking tight and it's pulling my kneecap out of whack, it keeps it in the right spot. So, and that improves your power groove. So,
right. And
but
you've never had any knee problems, right? Because that's another thing people who are against knee wraps say, is they say that it increases the wear and tear on your kneecaps.
That's preposterous. It actually reduces them. That's why Tommy Kono invented TK bands.
Or knee sleeves, sorry.
I've broken my left knee, but other than that, like the only knee pain I've ever had is because of my IT bands.
Okay. And that feels like when you go down far enough, that feels like a little tug, right? Like, for somebody who hasn't ever experienced that before, what does that feel like when your IT bands are tight?
What does it feel like?
Yeah.
Just generally, it's a lot of pain. It's pain in weird spots. For me, it's like, especially going downstairs, my legs lock up. Going upstairs, my knees fucking kill me. And squatting just as agonizingly painful. Yeah. But I mean, once you start digging into your that sort of dent in your ass on the side of your ass cheek, once you start digging in there and pushing on the side of your leg, I mean, if you push right down the side of your leg, if you dig your fingers in and walk your fingers down the side of your leg, if you're near tears, you should probably get a fucking massage because your IT bands are all fucked up.
Now you have a bunch of people on Reddit sticking their fingers in their asshole. You know that, right?
I didn't say stick your fingers in your asshole. If you're going to stick something in your asshole, at least get something latex and make it a little bigger than a couple fingers.
But, yeah, is there any brand that you'd recommend, knee sleeve wise?
I like Tommy Kono knee bands. I love them. They're the only thing I've really ever used. I've heard other people say good things about other bands, but or other knee sleeves, but I really I like the guy Tommy Kono. He was one of our best Olympic weightlifters, and his knee bands are great.
Yeah. And what is it that you're looking for in a pair of knee sleeves? The only reason I'm asking all these questions is because I'm actually going to be picking some up. So
I'm not a huge equipment guy, so I basically just researched the ones that were on the market when they were, and I had heard from an Olympic weightlifter that Tommy Kono's knee sleeves were the shit. So
I'll take his word for it. Those fucking deep ass fucking Olympic squats. Jesus fucking Christ.
Yeah,
those things hurt me.
Oh, dude, one of the things I wanted to talk about today.
Yeah, go ahead.
Was, and this is just like, it's just random. I'd never heard of this guy. His name is Clarence Kennedy. He's an Irish Olympic weightlifter.
Let me look him up. Yeah.
He's a 220 pounder, so he's 100 kgs. He's pulling 750 right now, and that's with a ridiculous, like, Ollie style pull with his knees out and his toes out and all that shit. Like
Clarence who?
Clarence Kennedy, Kennedy.
All right, gotcha.
He's cleaning 500. He's a 485 clean and jerk. Like, the dude's a monster. He also has a pretty good bench. I saw him do like 6 reps with 330 on the bench. He pause squatted 661 pretty easy. Like, if he switched to powerlifting, he would be ranked in the top 50 all time at 220 right now.
Man, look at that fucking bounce he has out of the hole.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ. Oh, no, he's using one of those Olympic weightlifting squat racks. I can't stand those. God damn it. No,
yeah.
See, that was bolted. The only one I've ever used was not bolted into the ground. So it was literally just 2 sticks.
Yeah, exactly. Okay. And then they like you hit one of them and it wobbles forward and you're like, oh, fuck it. So I just dumped it like a number of times because I'm like, I'm going to die trying to rack this fucking thing.
No,
it's like 400 pounds, and I'm like, no, this is going to kill me if I try to do this, so I'm just going to just fuck it and dump it on the ground.
Now, I know your opinion on shoes already, but we have got this question again, but it's very specific this time. What do you think about squat shoes? Now, I know you say you lift in the shoes, but like, what do you think about them specifically?
I wear Adidas Power Lifts. They have a slight heel on them. Anybody who's squatting raw should not be squatting in Chucks. That is dumbass West Side powerlifting bullshit. So
the flat-soled stuff should be not in your repertoire.
No, that's just for geared lifting.
Okay.
Yeah, for any raw lifter, if you're doing low bar, I would stick with a low heel.
Okay.
If you're doing high bar, go with the higher heels. So that's the higher heels would be the Nikes. I think Rogues are a little higher than Adidas, but the power lifts are only like $65, and they absolutely make your knees feel better.
That's pretty affordable. I've started actually doing the poor man's heel, which is basically take 2 5-pound plates and like put it under my fucking heels and see how that feels before I invest in a shoe. And let me tell you something, it actually felt pretty good. Now, mind you, I don't have any knee problems as it is. I don't have any tracking issues. I don't have any, like, I go pretty far down the hole just because that's how I squat. Like, when you watch somebody squat, when they tell you how to squat how they tell you and not how they actually squat, especially when it comes to someone like me, because I tend to excessively lean forward just because of my torso length. I'm 6'5", give me a break. And it's just what has worked for me, right? Like everybody squats a little bit different. But that's another thing that's on my list to try because I've just been squatting in like flat-soled shoes just because there's what was comfortable to me.
Well,
right?
and like especially for front squats, like they make a huge difference in front squats. You know, all the '70s bodybuilders when they'd front squat, they would front squats with their heels on 5-pound plates. There's a reason for that. Yeah. There's a reason for that. It helps your leverages and it makes the lift more comfortable. So definitely, even if you are just getting them for front squats, they make a big difference.
What about deadlifts? Do you have any footwear choices for that? Because I think that's another area. Because people are obsessed with any leverage that they can get in any one of the big 3 lifts just because they're so concentrated on it because of the whole competition lifestyle.
Yeah.
But
I always lifted it. I always lifted in Freeze, Nike Freeze, or New Balance Minimus. I was big on New Balance Minimus. Especially for deadlifting. You don't want to deadlift in a shoe with a heel because what that does is it's going to shift your center of gravity forward, right. And then you're gonna then you're gonna lose the weight at around knee height. So I really like New Balance Minimus for deadlifting. I mean they make deadlift socks and you see. Don't fucking deadlift or squat barefoot or in your fucking socks.
That's
especially
fucking gross.
Especially if you're on a platform. Well, if you're on a platform, you see these assholes deadlifting on a platform in their socks. Platforms are fucking slippery. You're gonna slip and break your fucking neck or break your shins.
That's like also imagine how athlete's foot gets spread. You son of a bitch.
What?
God damn it.
Oh.
Yeah. People when they're fucking foot fungus, like you see people putting on tough actin, tenactin, and shit on their fucking feet in the gym locker room. You sit there and go, huh? I wonder if those are the guys that are actually, yep, they probably are because they're guys that work physical jobs that have like toe infections from like being in work boots all day. Like, please do not squat fucking barefoot. I know it's hard for you, person who squats barefoot normally. Please, deadlifts barefoot. Don't fucking do it. Please, it's gross. Don't do it.
You know, now that from what you just said about the work boots, when I think back to the guys who were the bigger squatters in the 90s in my gym,
all the time, yep.
Work boots. They were they were in jeans and work boots. Now it's like this guy's squatting in jeans, but they were always moving fucking weight. But I guess they were getting
jeans.
They were getting a little tightness out of the jeans, like in the hole.
Yeah,
and like a little kind of squat brief action. But then they were also the work boots had their heel up.
You ever played around with squat briefs?
Nah, I've never gotten into the bulletproof panties or anything. I never had anybody try to shoot me in the dick, so I never thought wearing Kevlar panties was a good look.
This is the only fucking industry in the world that someone can say, you know what we need? We need some ultra strong pants. That's what we fucking need. Right?
You just put tactical in front of anything now, and everybody's fucking jacking their dicks to it. And that's what I call squat briefs. They're tactical panties.
Oh man, I mean it's just fucking stupid. Like, have you seen now? Mind you, the person who endorsed this, I'm not sure.
I don't think we're getting that answer on Bacchus. We'll just have to put it in the comments.
Okay. No, I'll put it in the little intro section we do at the beginning of every one of these.
There you go.
So, the one thing that I will say about this product that I'm about to mention is the person who endorsed it, Mike O'Hearn, you're cool, okay? Like, Mike O'Hearn's cool. But
he is a beautiful man. Good God.
But Frog Fitness, have you seen this fucking contraption?
I don't even know what you're talking about.
Oh my fucking God, be educated, man. So Frog Fitness is literally, hold on, Frog.
I like it when you say the word you're typing as you type it.
I'm actually mentally handicapped. Don't worry.
You don't sound retarded at all.
Oh fuck, that played over my. Don't worry about it, guys. That played over my speakers. Don't fucking worry about it. Okay, I'm gonna send you this YouTube link. Now. This is the next evolution in fitness, man. And I know this is old.
What is that little wheeled cart thing? The frog. What is that?
That's what I'm talking about.
Oh, all right.
It's fucking awesome. It's gold.
It's
Only in this
$1,500. For anybody who doesn't feel like Googling it, it's $1,500, this thing.
Only in this industry. Oh my god. Oh, I hear it in the background. Hell yeah. Fuck yeah.
Oh my god. This is the dumbest thing I've ever seen.
But you can do it all on there, man. You can do it all.
I don't know even what you're doing. To anybody who wants to know what this looks like, so it's a guy he's on this four-wheeled kind of cart thing, and the two axles are held together by bands. So in order to move this contraption, he has to extend his body to stretch his arms and legs out, and then pull his feet in so that the back wheels come forward, and then he extends his hands again. I guess is how it's done. So it's like a kind of inchworm movement with your ass up in the air.
So eventually, when this channel gets big enough, like when we get enough subscribers where we're making bank on this podcast, right? Or we might start a Patreon to do this. Either you or I have to actually use the Frog Fitness machine to go somewhere.
That would be fucking hilarious. Can you imagine trying to take this thing for like a mile? I'd be so goddamn angry at the end. I'd be spitting blood.
And we have to lock it up with a bike lock next to a pole.
Except how do you lock this thing up with a bike lock? It's held together by bands.
Well, that is a good question, but it's not for us to figure out. It would be totally worth it. I just want to see the look on people's fucking faces. Like, that's got to be recorded.
We'd have to do it down in Santa Monica or something. Like,
hell yeah.
Yeah, like that guy who is on the roller skates, like who's acting like Jimi Hendrix, like just going next to him, just making that Cartman noise.
And we have to actually go into the store, buy groceries, put it on the Frog Fitness machine, and take it.
Jesus Christ. I love the fact that guy's wearing those old school Nike Air Maxes that cost like $1 billion.
Hell yeah. But yeah, just so I got asked, what do you think about that? So
I think it's the dumbest thing I've ever seen.
I think you want one. You secretly want one. It's a new way to travel, man.
I'm going to say this very honestly, and I truly mean this. I don't know how much a Bowflex costs, but I imagine you can probably get 2 Bowflexes for the price of that thing. I would rather get a Bowflex and a year membership to any gym on the planet than pay that $1,500 for that. And a Bowflex, you can legitimately get a workout in on a Bowflex. Like, if I had one in the house, I would just get in random workouts all day long with the fucking thing. But this is just
for all the shit talked on Bowflex, back in the day, it was actually a pretty comparable machine. Like, if you're wanting to start out and get a base level of fitness before you actually go to a commercial gym, it's a great machine to have. I
emailed NASA years ago, and they never emailed me back. But I told them, I was like, if you want to stop bone loss in fucking astronauts and you don't want to use a lot of space, get them a goddamn Bowflex. The thing takes up no space at all. You put that bitch on the fucking space station, they won't lose bone mass. They'll probably gain bone mass.
The problem with that, okay, because what they're doing right now is they're doing resistance bands, right? Because the problem with something like a Bowflex is I believe the weights would become weightless.
There is no weight. The Bowflex thing it's kind of like bands. They're like flexible. They have varying degrees of flexion in these, like, I don't know how to describe them. They're almost like slats of wood, except they're made of plastic. And so they have varying degrees of resistance when they bend, and they're attached to cables, and that's how you use it. And so it's not appreciably different from resistance bands, but this takes you through different ranges of different planes of motion. So you're like, you can squat, you can deadlift, you can do all these different things with it, and makes more sense than resistance bands, but whatever.
See, I had thought the same thing. Like, my idea for specifically space travel and muscle loss, because whoever figures that out is going to be the next millionaire.
I just did figure it out.
Water, like in these rowers, I think would be something that they could also use. Some of these waters these rowers with the tub of water that they use for resistance. Have you seen that kind of mechanism?
No, but water is heavy.
Yeah. So basically, it uses the resistance of going through the water. So I think that would be a way that they could also prevent muscle loss. But either one, man.
It would,
NASA will expect our check any day now.
I've been expecting that check since 2001, so it has not been forthcoming.
We'll even take it down to about $1 million, I think.
I would take 1,000 at this point.
Hey, man.
I would just like a nod from somebody at NASA to be like, that guy Jamie Lewis who messaged us like 10, 15, 17 years ago. Yeah.
Hell no then, man. You got to account for inflation then.
Oh, that's true.
Yeah. So. But anyway, guys, I think that ends this episode. Now, as always, if you like this video, go ahead and like this video. If you didn't like this video, go ahead and dislike like a little Redditor. Go ahead and dislike like a little incel. Go ahead and subscribe if you're not already subscribed. And as always, you can check out the most recent blogs on www.chaosandpain.com for the Safe for Work version, or chaosandpain.blogspot.com.
Blogspot.
Blogs, blah, blah. Blah, blah, blah. I'm just rambling anyway on these podcasts. Nobody knows the difference. So you can check out the latest not safe for work blogs over there. And you can always check www.chaosandpain.com. I think I said that correctly.
Yeah, I think you might have thrown a Peyton in there, but
for the most awesome, badass supplements in the world. And with that being said, we will see you in the next one.
Laters.
Oh yes, you're dead.